so many iconic actresses I'd love to, whether they play my mother or not.
I have to say, move on from the mom thing.
Do you think it's getting a bit tiresome?
Is this a brothel? He's quick, isn't he?
He's catching up.
Why bring him today?
I am here.
Younger men rule nations, empires, our majesty did, and George learns more every day. It's more us. We need better use his gifts.
I hear that, but how?
Get me a moment with the Queen.
Let's start with your elevator pitch on each other's characters.
She is the matriarch of the Villiers family. She does not have a lot of agency in her life, and so she kind of vicariously props her son up to become this Renaissance man and seduce the king and help elevate their entire family from potential oblivion to rise to success in the royal court.
And he plays George Villiers, who's an exceptionally handsome, charming, educatable young man who his mother sees a tremendous amount of potential in, who eventually becomes the consort of King James.
I love it. We're going to make educatable a word now.
right? Yeah.
Let's go for it. Who was cast first?
Oh, Julie, of course.
And what did you think when you heard you were going to be cast opposite Julianne Moore?
Counted by my lucky stars. I was so excited. I was been such a fan of Julie's work for so long, and could totally see her in the part as well. But it's so fun because you don't know exactly what you're going to get until you show up on day one and you see your characters kind of evolve with each other over the course of filming. So just really excited to start it.
So you've had the honour of being cast alongside two actors after Uma Thurman, who played your mum in Red, White and Royal Blue, and now Julianne Moore. Who would be your dream third mother to play opposite?
Wow, what a question.
Maybe he's growing out of that.
Do you think?
Yeah, maybe he doesn't need to have somebody play his mom in his next
I think so. I mean, there are so many iconic actresses I'd love to, whether they play my mother or not.
I have to say, move on from the mom thing.
Do you think it's getting a bit tiresome? God, I don't know. I'll just throw out, I love Patricia Clarkson. I think she's fantastic.
Fantastic.
So I'd love to work with her regardless anyway.
It's a fabulous choice.
Thank you.
So little is known about Mary, which must have been a challenge, but also an opportunity to kind of interpret her in your own way. Did you look to any other famous historical women, either contemporary or previous, to kind of inform the role?
No, I didn't. I really based all of my work on the script. I think D.C. Moore wrote something that was really extraordinary, and it jumped off the page, and the character was incredibly vivid and almost all text and no subtext. I mean, she's somebody who's active and front-footed and has all this drive. So she was there.
And the Duke of Fuckingham is probably one of the best nicknames ever. What surprised you most about him in your research?
You don't see characters like this so often, and I'm a big fan of sort of reading historical texts, and I think George is is an incredibly textured person, and the life he led was so bombastic in a way, and his insatiable desire for power, and the people he was able to seduce. There some notable figures who don't even make it into the series. We didn't have enough time, but I think obviously it's historical fiction, and we were able to kind of add to George in other ways as well. I think Benjamin Woolley's book, The King's Assassin, gave me so much incredible information to draw upon.
Yeah, it's incredible when you think about just the queer erasure in history. And I think as Lisa Marshall said yesterday at the premiere, how we view much of history through this Victorian lens. And it was so refreshing to watch this kind of re-evaluation of sexuality and identity. So how did it feel to kind of be part of that?
It was interesting. I loved how fluid the characters were, how expressive they were, how so many of these relationships were taken for granted, weren't considered shocking. because obviously it's always existed. It's like but what history do we remember? Who wrote the history down? Who are we listening to? So it's wonderful to have it reframed in this way.
And your English accent is wonderful.
Thanks.
Where did you go to for inspiration?
I had a really wonderful dialect coach named Magella Hurley, who I really leaned on very heavily, and we worked together every weekend, and she was there on the set, and I listened to things as much as possible, and I listened to the people around me, even though they all have different kinds of accents. And but it's terrifying. It's really hard. It's very hard to do an accent in its native country, among native speakers. So it was intimidating, but it was also a really fun challenge.
Well, you nailed it.
Thanks for that.